It is 6 a.m. I have a flight in 2 hours. I have an extraordinarily sore throat and am dying just to talk. And I'm still working on videos for you people. Please drop a like. I have been working. Today we have a post-game recap. I'm going on a trip to Chicago to see the Bulls in their home games 3 and 4. First time I'm ever going to be at the United Center. And I wanted to do a video recapping the games that I've been watching recently. I've been all over the place the last few days, so I haven't been able to do stuff as consistently as I would like. But I can talk about some of the games that I have not covered already. I intentionally did not talk about Nets Celtics game 2. Primary takeaway there is, holy shit, the Celtics defense is great. Holy shit, Kevin Durant underperformed. I have a video coming out on Saturday about the situation with Kevin Durant and kind of my whole point of view on him that has existed for years, and I've kind of had a unique perspective on him. So check that out when it comes out. But for the most part, anything you've already heard, that's probably, how I feel about it. I'm not necessarily contributing anything new. Outside of that, we can talk about today's games, really, which are Timberwolves, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Jazz, and Warriors versus Nuggets. So I'm going to save best for last. Somehow in a game where the Jazz once again lost to the Mavericks without Luka Doncic, the Timberwolves managed to have the most embarrassing game of the night. Utah Jazz Mavericks game is probably the one I watched the least today, but from what I could tell, it was kind of the same story as what happened with game 2. Perimeter defense just was not there. Although it wasn't, Jalen Brunson didn't have 40, he only had 30. Spencer Dinwiddie was shit for most of this game, but he of course hit the three-pointer that put this one away. Maxi Kleber was good from outside again, and Dorian Finney-Smith hit a three-pointer of note that I remember. But yeah, it was mostly more of the same. Reggie Bullock hit some big three-pointers. It felt like Utah was going to rally in this one. Maybe it was the third quarter when I turned the game on. It really felt like they were starting to get their momentum in their favor. There were a good amount of opportunities for Rudy Gobert around the rim, a couple of alley-oops and some big plays that really felt like momentum plays for dunks for him. But ultimately didn't really work out. As everyone is already saying, the Utah Jazz need to blow it up. Probably going to have a video coming out when I get back from Chicago about the future of the Jazz. But yeah, not a good look on their part. To talk about the Nuggets versus Warriors game, obviously now a 3-0 series, and this one's pretty much wrapped up. But this was easily the most competitive game that Denver gave Golden State thus far. And I did a video talking about what they can do for the rest of this series to potentially actually make it close. And one of the things I said is Nikola Jokic can't continue to just have okay games. He needs to have a really good game. And he had 37, 18, 5, and 3 on 60% shooting. So he had himself a good game. But I also said at least one of his teammates needed to really step up. And while Aaron Gordon had 18 points, that really was not enough, and nobody else really stepped up to the plate. Both Monte Morris and Will Barton shot really poorly from the field. And Draymond got a really key steal on Jokic, which kind of annoyed me because I'm like, I know that clip is going to be passed around more than the fact that apparently VORP-only Jokic had, again, 37 and 18. Outside of that game, I think we can declare Klay Thompson as fully back. He looked really good in this one. It was his best game of the playoffs so far. He went 6 for 13 from outside. Jordan Poole was amazing. Again, a huge momentum play in this one was when they went to double Steph Curry on a three-point attempt, and Poole had an open three-pointer, and he decided, fuck it, I'm going to drive, and he got a crazy-ass finish over, I think it was either Aaron Gordon or Jokic, I can't remember. And then Steph Curry, coming off of the bench again for God knows why, had himself 27 points off of the bench. And Another noteworthy performance is Gary Payton hit 3 of his 3 3-pointers, and him being a not so great 3-point shooter, if he managed to do that consistently, that would be really good. But of course, the game of the night that stands out to everybody is the Grizzlies versus Timberwolves game, where the Timberwolves did something that I didn't even know was possible, which is they blew 2 20-point leads in the same game. They were up 20 at half. Or sorry, not at half. They were up 20 after the first, or at a certain point after the first quarter. Yeah, they were up 18 after the first quarter, and I guess they just scored right back at the start of the second quarter. But up by 20, and then by halftime, it was about a 10-point game. Makes it a 20-point game again as they outscore Memphis by 10 points in the third quarter. So it's a 20-point game again. They got it down to 10, made it 20 again. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. Now, they also scored 12 points in the second quarter, hence the first 20-point comeback. But now the Memphis Grizzlies score 37, and they seal this one, a 37-12 fourth quarter. So what went so disastrously wrong? Well, first of all, Minnesota's defense was really good to open, and that really wasn't a through line through the whole game. D'Angelo Russell was really good to start, and I feel like that slowed down as the game progressed. Anthony Edwards has gone from Michael Jordan to Terrence Ross, as I saw someone say, which is, hey, he's in his first playoff series. I'm not going to be too critical of the guy, but he was amazing in game one and was not so great in game two and wasn't so great in this one. But as much as I could talk about anybody else, Malik Beasley didn't have the best shooting night in the world. Ultimately, the big key factor here for the Timberwolves is Karl Anthony Towns. Now, I do want to mention the Timberwolves have historically had issues getting Cat the ball, and that is the big thing that everyone's talking about, because in 32 minutes of action, Karl Anthony Towns shot the ball 4 times. In fact, he took the second least amount of shots of anybody who took any shots, and Taurean Prince took 2 shots in just 6 minutes. So, little bit of blame goes to the team. They didn't run in a lot of sets with him that really gave him opportunities to create offense. But at the same time, if you're a player of his caliber, you are obligated to take over offensively as an all-star level player. And for him to take 1 shot in the fourth quarter, 3 shots in the first quarter, and that is it. That is unacceptable, especially as you're watching your team crumble. That is just not something you do if you want to be labeled as a star-level player in the NBA. To talk about the fourth quarter collapse, on the part of the Grizzlies, they get a lot of credit because their defense really locked down the paint. But I could say, shot quality-wise, the Minnesota Timberwolves did not get terrible shots. They were open jump shots for the most part. There were a couple that were like side steps from Anthony Edwards and shit like that. But for the most part, they got clean enough looks. They just were not getting easy shots inside. There was certainly enough there to suggest that you could score more than 12 points in that quarter. Certainly enough open shots, certainly enough opportunity. And as good as the Grizzlies were on the defensive side of the floor, you can't really say it's anything other than the fact that they just really missed a lot of shots that they should have made. Someone who was well on his way to slander that managed to escape it was Ja Morant, because he had an awful game. Desmond Bane had a fantastic game, hitting a ton of 3-pointers. And easily the standout of this one was Brandon Clark, because he managed to be the switchable defensive player that we know him to be, and that was the main reason why he was getting opportunity over Steven Adams. But even then, he also was a really awesome offensive option in this one. He had 20 points on 6 for 9 shooting, and he got to the free throw line a ton. He had some offensive rebounds, right? Yes, he had 4 offensive rebounds. He brought some energy as well, which he typically does. Really great contribution from him. Tyus Jones is really cool. Tyus Jones is one of the best backup point guards in the league and does not get enough credit for it. But as much as I can credit the Grizzlies, Dylan Brooks hit a huge sidestep 3 over Karl-Anthony Towns that pretty much sealed the game. This game, to me, was ultimately more a failure of the Timberwolves than it was the Grizzlies. And as for how I feel about the series going forward, I picked the Timberwolves to win this series in 7 games. I'm going to amend that. I'm going to go with Memphis in 6. Change my mind. A collapse like this, I just don't know that the Timberwolves are mentally there yet to really compete with the Grizzlies like I thought maybe they could. But yeah, I'm changing that prediction. I mean, you could still hold me to the original prediction, but I'm just saying I don't believe that anymore. Holy shit, I am struggling to get through this video. Oh my god, I've so many cuts in this one for me just having to cough up. I really shouldn't have done this, but it is what it is. That is it. Goodbye.